The phone call was recorded at 11:47 p.m. and what Jennifer Gladhill said next would seal her fate forever. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Main Street Mysteries. I'm your host, Christopher, and today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a horror that unfolded right behind the white picket fences of an upscale Utah neighborhood. The case involves the disappearance of Matthew Johnson, a devoted father and military husband, and the shocking arrest of his wealthy wife, Jennifer Gladhill, for first-degree murder. As one of Matthew's close friends put it, having had Jen in our home before, breaking bread with them, and then it turned out that she's responsible for his death. It was shocking, frankly. Let's start the story. Jennifer Gladhill and Matthew Johnson appeared to have it all. Living in their million-dollar home in Cottonwood Heights, Utah, they seemed like the perfect family, a devoted military husband and a caring mother, raising their 3 children, aged 11, 7, and 5. Matthew, 51, was a respected member of the Utah National Guard's 19th Special Forces Group, a Green Beret who had served his country with honor for over a decade. His fellow soldiers described him as brilliant, reliable, and someone you could always count on. Jennifer, 42, was seen as a devoted mother and supportive military wife who many described as nice, a homebody. The family lived quietly in their upscale neighborhood, and to the outside world, everything seemed perfectly normal. Cracks in the facade. But beneath the surface of this seemingly perfect marriage, cracks had begun to form months earlier. The couple had been considering divorce since July 2024, and court documents revealed a highly dysfunctional relationship. In August 2024, Jennifer filed for a temporary protective order against Matthew, claiming she needed protection from her husband. However, when the case went before the court, the judge made a decision that would prove to be fatally significant. 3rd District Commissioner Robert Miles examined the evidence Jennifer presented and found that the videos she submitted actually showed her as unafraid and equally confrontational toward him. The commissioner noted that text messages from Jennifer to Matthew were repeatedly berating, belittling, and demeaning, if not outright attempting to goad him into a violent response. On September 16, 2024, just days before the tragedy, Commissioner Miles dismissed the protective order, ruling that no abuse had occurred. He wrote something that now seems hauntingly prophetic: the conduct of the parties over the past several months is representative of a highly dysfunctional marriage bringing out the worst in the parties. Clearly suggestive that an action for divorce should have been filed long before reaching the current state of affairs. What the commissioner didn't know was that Jennifer had already made a decision that would ensure divorce proceedings would never be necessary. The planning stage. In the weeks leading up to September 2024, Matthew's behavior began to change dramatically. According to his friends, Jennifer's erratic actions had become so disturbing that Matthew spent much of the final weeks of his life sleeping at a National Guard facility out of concerns about his safety. In one of his last conversations with his longtime friend, retired Guardsman Victor Hayes, Matthew had really come to the conclusion that a divorce needs to happen and it is time to move on. But Matthew never got the chance to move on. What Matthew didn't fully realize was that Jennifer had been living a double life. She was having an affair with another man, Daniel Shaw, someone who would later become the key to unraveling the entire case. On September 19, 2024, just 2 days before the murder, Jennifer showed Daniel something that should have been a warning sign. She displayed a loaded gun to him, a Glock 19X that she kept in their home. Prosecutors would later reveal that Jennifer had been calculating and methodical in her planning. She had arranged for their 3 children to stay at her parents' house the night she planned to kill their father. The stage was being set for a confrontation that would end in tragedy. The night of the murder, September 20th, 2024, started like any other day. But by evening, the fragile facade of the marriage would finally crumble. Matthew had discovered the truth about his wife's affair, and witnesses would later report hearing a heated argument between the couple that night. According to Jennifer's later confession, Matthew confronted her, yelling at her because he knew she had been sleeping with someone else. In the early hours of September 21, 2024, as Matthew lay sleeping in their master bedroom, completely vulnerable and unaware, Jennifer made a decision that would destroy multiple families forever. She took his own 9mm handgun and shot her husband in the head while he slept. According to her own confession, she then put Matthew's body into a rooftop storage container, sliding it down the stairs of their home before loading it into the back of their minivan. She smashed his phone and drove his truck to a nearby neighborhood, abandoning it blocks from their home. Then, in what can only be described as a methodical cover-up, Jennifer drove north with her husband's body and buried him in a shallow grave at a location that remains unknown to this day. When she returned home, she began an extensive cleanup operation. She bleached the walls, used carpet cleaning supplies, and ordered a new mattress to replace the blood-soaked one. The mattress arrived just 2 days later. The chilling confession. But Jennifer's most critical mistake was yet to come. On September 22, just before midnight, Jennifer showed up at her lover, Daniel Shaw's, home and made a confession that would ultimately lead to her arrest. She told him everything, how she had killed Matthew, disposed of his body, and cleaned up the crime scene. Daniel was terrified by what he had heard. This woman had just confessed to cold-blooded murder with an almost casual demeanor. Disturbed, Daniel decided to record their next phone conversation. When he told Jennifer he was frightened by what she had told him, her response was chilling and would become a haunting piece of evidence. "Wow, if you think I could even hurt a fly," she said. Like he's not a person. He wasn't a person anymore. He wasn't Matt. She had dehumanized her husband so completely that his death meant nothing to her. Her disturbing revelations didn't stop there. When Daniel asked if she would be afraid if the situation were reversed, Jennifer replied, "Not if I deserved it. I always preached that I was like the Queen of Hearts in my past lives because I'm like off with their heads. I'm like, if we could just round up the scum of this earth and put them on an island or just kill them all, I could shape this country back to a good place." This conversation took place before Matthew was officially reported missing. Jennifer was already referring to her husband in the past tense. The evidence unravels. 6 days after her confession to her lover, Jennifer finally reported Matthew missing to police, claiming he had gone on a week-long trip and told her not to call him. But unbeknownst to Jennifer, Daniel Shaw had been collecting evidence against her, taking screenshots and recording their calls. On October 2, 2024, he finally contacted police, cracking the case wide open. When Cottonwood Heights police executed a search warrant on the home, they discovered a scene that told a very different story: a large blood-stained spot in the carpet underneath the bed, blood on the bed frame, the smell of bleach, and a brand new mattress, ordered 3 days after the murder. GPS data from Jennifer's phone also showed her movements that morning, tracking her to where the truck was abandoned and later traveling north to Davis County, exactly where she claimed to have buried his body. On October 2, 2024, police arrested Jennifer Gladhill on charges of first-degree murder and obstruction of justice. Family betrayal. The investigation was far from over. On October 24, Jennifer's parents, George and Carol Davies, were also arrested and charged with 4 counts of obstruction of justice. Police discovered the couple had spent over 5 hours at Jennifer's house in late September, despite initially claiming they were only there for an hour. Investigators found that Carol had purchased the new mattress and had her phone remotely reset. When police questioned George about the cleanup, he told them, "I did not go in where the incident happened," inadvertently revealing knowledge of a crime scene. A search of the parents' home also yielded the Glock 19X gun box, matching the description of the gun Jennifer showed her lover. The family had tried to cover up the perfect murder, but their web of lies was quickly unraveling. Matthew is still missing. Months have passed since Jennifer's arrest, but Matthew Johnson's body remains missing. Extensive search efforts have covered multiple counties. John Hash, Matthew's fellow Green Beret, expressed the shock of the community. "Having had Jen in our home before, it turned out she's responsible for his death." It was shocking, frankly. During recent court hearings, prosecutors revealed that a vehicle storage container had been found floating in water, and it contained Matthew Johnson's blood inside. This discovery provided additional physical evidence, but the body still hasn't been recovered. Jennifer Gladhill has pleaded not guilty to all charges against her. She faces 1 count of first-degree murder, 5 counts of obstruction of justice, and several other counts. With Jennifer named as the beneficiary of Matthew's $500,000 Credential life insurance policy, the courts will also have to determine who should receive the money. Jennifer's trial is scheduled to begin on December 8, 2025. The most heartbreaking aspect of this case is the 3 children who have lost both parents, 1 to murder and 1 to prison. Matthew Johnson's family remains hopeful that Jennifer or someone will come forward with the location of his body so they can finally lay him to rest. The prosecution's theory is straightforward but chilling. Jennifer Gladhill killed her husband because he discovered her affair and she wanted to be free to pursue her relationship. Rather than go through a messy divorce, she chose murder. As we await the trial, the question remains, how does a mother of 3 justify destroying so many lives for the sake of an affair? Justice may eventually be served, but somewhere in northern Utah, a devoted father and soldier lies in an unmarked grave, waiting for the truth to finally be found.